Good morning, this is Mona and this is my morning view. Today it is the spring edition, full-fledged spring edition. I did winter/spring last week for Thursday and Friday. That whole, when is it? When is it officially spring? Well, we know it's officially spring now because I'm on the spring edition 2025. Oh, my thermometer fell down. It says it's about 30. But there's only a light breeze. The breeze is starting to pick up a little bit, so it could get a little wiggy. It is cold. As you can see, I did not take my walk this morning. Why? Because it was raining. It was raining. Everything's wet right now. No, it's my hair's wet from my shower, not not from walking, not from being out in the rain. Right now, it is not raining, so I'm going to take the opportunities so that her funnels don't fill up and cause her infection. Because that's what happens. Those ears are like funnels and they just go right in. They go right in. Here she comes. Here she comes. Oh, nope, she paused for a minute. She thought I was coming down. I am not coming down. I have my work shoes on. Yes. Alright, so she did bring me her toy because she knows that when I say, good morning, this is Mona and this is my morning view, it's time for her to pick out a toy and come play because that means playtime. That means nothing about what mommy's doing. Alright. Oh. Pulled something in my ankle. Hurts a little bit. Today is Memory Monday. Memory Monday. I actually wrote down a few thoughts that I had over the weekend. Just one phrasers. But I'm not going to do that for Memory Monday because really it had nothing to do with memory. I'm not sure whether that's going to be a Thirsty Thursday, a Feisty Friday. I'm not sure what the days those will be. I might not even get to them for another month. Who knows? It's not something, it just popped in my head. I was like, okay, let me write this down because people are saying you lose so many thoughts. Write it down. And I don't always have that ability to write it down when I have the thought. Like many thoughts come to me while I'm in the shower. Can't write it down in the shower. Or while I'm driving. Can't write it down while I'm driving. And no, there's not a lot of places to pull over to write it down. That's not that type of community. There's very few curbs, that you can pull over to. So, one of the thoughts that I was thinking, I don't know. Oh, we were watching basketball last night. Okay, college basketball. I love to watch the Sweet 16. Okay, and it was dwindling down to the Sweet 16. We watched a couple of games, looked at it, multiple times. It was more background noise than actual watching the game because it's not on the 16 yet. So it's more of an observance of what's going on, Yeah, Baylor lost this weekend. Kentucky won, though. Kentucky won. So that's my alma mater. That's where I went to college. One of the places I went to college was at Kentucky. It wasn't at the main campus. It was at a satellite campus through a community college that was nearby. All right, so we're watching basketball, which reminded me of my high school days. I did not play basketball in high school. I didn't play team sports in high school. I played gymnastics. I did track, things that you can excel at as an individual that helps the team, but it's not dependent upon the team on whether you get an award or not. Yeah, that's probably really a sucky way of saying that I was selfish. But really it was more from the trauma, if you want to call it, of middle school sports, which it was all about team playing. You played basketball, you played volleyball, you played we did track. I remember doing track. And baseball. baseball. So those were the sports that we were involved in middle school, that we played other schools. It's funny, the school district that I'm in now, it has one middle school, and as far as I know, they do not have an after-school sports program as far as playing other schools. It's just the high school. Which brings me to this whole thing that I'm talking about. Hi, Vicki. The whole thing that I'm talking about today in Memory Monday was, as we were watching basketball, I told my husband, I go, I wonder if they still play donkey basketball at my school. And he's like, donkey basketball? What is that? And I'm like, well, they actually play basketball while riding donkeys. He had a little bit of skepticism, so I went and got my yearbook. Showed him pictures. It was the Teachers Against the FFA. Did I say that right? Future Farmers of America. FFA. Sometimes I say FAA. I think that's flight stuff. You know. Anyways. FFA. Future Farmers of America. Are you okay? He asked me if I played, and I'm like, no, I wasn't in the Future Farmers of America. I was in 4-H. And there was a lot of people that were in 4-H that were in FFA. But I've talked about it before. In 4-H, it's part of the agricultural extension. And so, because it was like a farming community, people had animals, you know, and they showed animals and stuff, but there was more to it than that. There was the domestic side of it. It was learning how to cook, learning how to sew. My brothers learned electricity. Back when I started, I would have totally liked to have gone down the road of my brothers, but back then, the girls didn't intermix with the boys' stuff, the boys didn't intermix with the girls' stuff. So my brother loved cooking. He learned how to cook, but he did not learn how to cook through 4-H, and not because he was not in cooking in 4-H. So you had your different things of what you learned. And then later on, as I got older, they extended it to other things, and depending on the leadership of, you know, what that person was bringing, you know, I took woodworking later on, because then certain things got opened up to girls. By then, I think the electricity part had dropped out because that leader had retired. And so it just depended on the leadership. What leader was really proficient in what category, and that they were willing to teach a bunch of kids. That's probably getting less and less these days, I think. But we had really, really great leaders, all right? I have been all over the United States, in different pockets of the United States, not so much in the Midwest, but kind of like skirting around, you know, up to where I am present. I have never seen a 4-H program like the 4-H program that I was in. There was something extraordinary about them that is way different than the ones that I see out here. And the fairs, the state fairs, our county fair was better than any state fair I have seen outside of California. Now, I never went to the state fair. I had some items go to the state fair, but I didn't have any. I myself didn't go to the state fair. Now, my parents never allowed us to do animals in 4-H. And the reason why we weren't allowed to do animals in 4-H is because we just didn't have the time and resources to do that. When you went to demonstration day, you had to bring your animal. You had to haul your animal there. When you went to the county fair, you were there for like a couple of days before the fair even started, and you were there till after the fair ended. Because you weren't going to take your animal in and out when everybody's leaving and when everybody's coming. You're going to want to take them in and out when it's more of a calm. For the animal's sake. right? So we didn't do animals because we didn't have farm hands to help out. We didn't have all the stuff together, and we had a farm to take care of. So we couldn't be gone for a week at the fair. So I was never involved in any animal things like the animals in 4-H or the FFA. So I did not play donkey basketball, nor did I get to go watch donkey basketball because it was in the evening and I would have either had to had a ride home, and not too many from the mountains, not too many kids from the mountains. There were some, but they lived in a different direction. They would have had to go way out of their way to take me home. It's not just like, we're in the same town. This was a regional high school for the county. So I respected the people that allowed me to stay at their homes for the functions that I was in. But if it took a long time, like the senior play, that was practice every night after the activity bus left. So I wasn't going to extend for the few houses that I stayed at while I was in high school, and I didn't want to become a burden. So it was only those functions that I needed to be at for the team. My drama teacher wanted me to be in the senior play, but it was not feasible. So anyways, it brought me back to that space when I was a kid of that was, who else plays donkey basketball? Who else had an amazing 4-H community? I still remember the pledge. I pledged my head for clear thinking, my heart for greater loyalty, my hands for larger service, my health for better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world. The world was added later on. It didn't start out with the world there, but it ended up with the world there. And really, that pledge meant something. It meant something. And I've carried that through my whole life. Now, I had some friends that were Jehovah's Witnesses. They did not be in 4-H because they would have this pledge. And they didn't pledge allegiance because they weren't going to pledge their allegiance to anything other than God. So they were against anything that had a pledge or an allegiance or something to that effect. There was a lot of kids that said that pledge. Some of them may not even remember it, but it didn't have the meaning and the depth that I felt when I pledged it. It was like, yes, this is what my life is for. This is what the future is about. And so while I was taking a shower, I was thinking about, a person in a small town, and the small town just doesn't offer what this person is for, what this person is about. And so the person's like, oh, I'm meant for greatness, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to move on. And there's nothing wrong with that, and that might be true. But then I started thinking of The Wizard of Oz, which I was this big fan of The Wizard of Oz growing up. I'm still a little bit of a fan. And my daughter went and showed me Wicked, and that solidified my thought that the Wicked Witch, which I thought was the best character in the to the point that I practiced being the Wicked Witch. So the Wicked Witch ended up, she's not as wicked as people thought. Okay, they casted her, typecasted her. They were like, oh, you're a witch, you're bad, We're talking the Wizard of Oz. Okay? So, there's somebody in the Wizard of Oz that you can relate to. You can relate to, whether it's Dorothy, whether it's Annie M, whether it's, you know, the uncle, whether it's the farmhands, whether it's the lion, the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, whether it's the Wicked Witch, whether you think that you're one of the Munchkins, whatever. If you can relate to that personality or that concept of how they think, I think the Wizard of Oz has just about every character for you. Kind of like Charlie Brown, okay? Charlie Brown has those. Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh has that. I think that there's more things to those characters that relate to actual real-life people. So, my hand's starting to get cold. Yes, it is. So I'm sitting there thinking about Dorothy, and she's at the end, all she has to do is click her feet, and she's home. She says, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Now, when I grew up, I had a whole lot of people talking in my ear that there was nothing in that community. Nothing in that community. If I was going to make it in life, I had to leave that community. There's some really great things in that community. One, I found Jesus there. I know he's everywhere. But that's where I found him. And had a really good foundation laid. Then there's 4-H. That was big. I probably would have become a 4-H leader had I stayed. It's quite possible. And then been able to help generations and beyond. What I carried and what I felt about bettering the community, the world, the country, the whole gamut. The fairs were amazing. Demonstration day. My community college used to put on like the best plays in the whole world. I went, the first time I went to Broadway to watch a play. I've watched several plays at Broadway. There's some that are my favorite. There's some that I didn't care for. Part of that is because I needed hearing aids. I couldn't understand a word. Couldn't follow it. I also wasn't feeling that well, so it was hard to follow anything. So I'm not going to blame the play for me not enjoying the show. But I enjoyed it, but I was like, not for nothing. My community college used to put on plays just as good. Just as good as Broadway. So there was a lot of things, but yet you had people saying, there's nothing good here. There's nothing for anybody. So when I left, I had in my mind that there was nothing there for me. Now, I'm not saying there is anything there for me and I want to go back. It's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that, have you ever noticed people, they kind of mess up their life a little bit and they decide they're going to move. They're going to move where nobody knows them and they can start fresh. And they get to where they're going and the same old garbage takes place. The same stuff pops up. The same type of drama hits them. This is what Rob Reimer calls unpacking the suitcase. It's that you just had a trip to Alaska and now you're headed to Florida. But instead of emptying out the park and the boots for a bikini and flip-flops, you just try to jam those in there with it, with the parka, with the boots, with the big sweaters. And you take that wherever you go. You take your baggage with you wherever you go. Oh, you leave the people, but you're carrying the baggage. And until you empty that out, until you empty out that baggage, you're going to be carrying a whole lot more than you need to carry, and it's going to show up where you're going. All the things of why I was not successful in California, in my area, were the same reasons why I was not successful moving forward with multiple opportunities. Because I was carrying baggage. I had baggage from my family of origin. I had baggage from my elementary school. I'm not playing no team sport. I had baggage from life circumstances. I had all kinds of baggage. Now, when I left California, I had a suitcase, a trunk, and a bicycle, I think. I think I brought my bike. I don't remember. But I definitely had a trunk, a small trunk, which was sold while I was in boot camp. All my stuff was sold while I was in boot camp. But that's a whole nother thing. So when I left boot camp, I didn't have anything except for the small briefcase that I brought down. And the only reason I had that is because the recruiter said, you need this, 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 and this. And I didn't need half of that. Half of it was just went into a storage until we were out. But I had a few articles of clothing that I could wear. Talk about emptying out the luggage, right? Involuntarily, but hey. So yeah, the baggage of my past was carried wherever I went. And it was a heavy case. It was heavy. I've seen pictures of, I don't know if it was a book or if it was just like a meme, but it had the individual that was carrying all their baggage on top of their vehicle. It was overflowing, and stuff was dropping out on the left and right because it was just so much. You need to release the things that you don't need. And there are those things that you can put aside for the season that you need them. If you're not going to Alaska, if you're going to Florida, put the parka away. Take it out of your suitcase. Don't bring it with you on your trip. As long as you want to carry your stuff, your life's not going to change. If you want to carry those things around that hurt you, that bother you, that you put on a little pedestal, you're like, oh, this is that time. See this? It's on this pedestal. It's in this space in my heart, because that means you're idolizing your pain. Oh, that could be a Feisty Friday moment. Sorry. This is about Memory Monday. You have to go back to those spaces, back home, and unpack your suitcase before you can move on. Before you can have a real fresh start. Because just jumping in your car, grabbing your things, heading out, leaving all the people behind you, burning all the bridges. You burned all the bridges. Okay, maybe you kept one secret passageway to get back. But you brought it all with you. You brought all your little idols. Remember Jacob, his wife Rebecca, took the idols from her father's house and hid them underneath the saddle, the camel saddle. She hid them. They weren't big, but they were idols. They were big in her mind. And she lied. I don't know if she lied. It may have been the truth. But she said she was on her cycle. So they didn't check her stuff. When Laban came out and looked and said, I want to know where all my idols went. Somebody stole them. And he's like, nobody stole your idols, because he didn't know that his favored wife. And then he cursed her without knowing it. You got to be careful about what you say. Because he said, let that person be put to death that has stolen your idols. They didn't check her. She got away, she thought. She thought she got away with it. But want to know what happened when they got to the place where Bethlehem is? She gave birth and she died. She gave birth to Benjamin, to Benoni, and she died. Yeah. She wanted to bring her baggage with her. She wanted to bring her idols. Well, it was her father's idols. The things he held on to were from her family of origin. How much do you want to hold on to those things? How much of that baggage do you not want to unload, address, leave behind? And what is the cost of carrying it? You know, nowadays, you may have to pay for your carry-on baggage, let alone the baggage that you put underneath the plane. How much of it's worth to carry? And you have to decide, okay, do I really need this? Do I really need this? We were watching a gentleman that plays guitar, and he purchased a harp. It wasn't harp. It was a harp viola, maybe. And what happened was, he normally buys a ticket for his musical instruments. Ticket for their musical instruments. But he didn't. So he had to ship it. So he shipped it DHL. And it cost him thousands of dollars to ship it. For him, it was worth the cost of the instrument to bring it where he was going, which was home, because he was in Spain where he had purchased it. So sometimes the cost is worth carrying what you have. But is it worth it because it could help you in your future? This instrument may very well have helped him in his future, as he was a concert, all things pluck. It helped him. So it was worth the cost. But is the baggage you're carrying worth the cost of shipping? Is it worth the cost of having it there when you get there? Assuming that your luggage doesn't get lost. Is it worth the cost? That's probably more of a Thirsty Thinking Thursday. I'm covering them all this week, right? So thinking about it, thinking about there's nothing here. You'll be better off leaving. Leaving, finding out that there's nothing better off there or here because I brought all the unnecessary baggage with me through my life journey. And now, weighing the cost. Is it worth it? Is it worth keeping it on the pedestal? Is it worth unloading it when you get to Miami to pull out that parka? You might want a light sweater or a coat, but certainly not a parka meant for Alaska. So that's what I'm leaving you with today. This memory that started off watching college basketball. Going, I wonder if they still play donkey basketball. You can turn just about any memory into a life lesson. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Oh, and I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. Go to my YouTube channel, hit subscribe, hit like, hit notifications, get all the bells and whistles. Like it here, comment here, be interactive. I like the interactive part. I'm supposed to say that in the beginning, the middle, and the end. Mash that like button. Hit subscribe. All of that stuff. Go to my YouTube page, Mona E. Harrison. I have a 3-minute synopsis of this, which... believe me, that doesn't work. So until I get 50 subscribers, I'm stuck at 3 minutes. All right. So go ahead and go do that for me. All right. Blessings, everybody. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye.